Bonjour l'Afrique du Sud, il fait 17h38. Vous êtes le bienvenu sur eNCA. Voici le rapport de sport on today. Junior Springboks seek redemption in the World Rugby Under 20 Championship. South Africa, who suffered a shock defeat to Italy last time out, take on Argentina in what could be a decisive match in Pool C. Bafana Nhleko's Chargers head into tonight's encounter at Athlone Stadium, bottom of the pool with 5 points, but have a game in hand. eNCA's Justin Ford joins us for a preview. Good evening, Justin. Good to be with you today. It's a must-win game for the Junior Boks, who need a bonus point win to advance to the semi-finals. Will the changes made by coach Bafana Nhleko make a difference?
Yeah, good evening here from a very frosty Athlone Stadium out here in Cape Town. Talking about the changes, this team, they've been together since April. A large squad assembled at the Stellenbosch Academy for Sport, and it was there where they started to lay the foundation for this World Rugby Under 20 Championships. They were obviously whittled down to a squad that would have represented South Africa at this tournament. And to be honest, I don't think the results necessarily have gone their way. It was a surprise shock to Italy. Yes, they managed to come back and claw their way back, but it just wasn't enough in the end. Will the changes make a massive difference? I think they certainly will hope so. They did say that going into this tournament, they had a plan to change their team, in the opening from the first match to the second match and in the third match. So hopefully that plan, it really comes together today here at the Athlone Stadium and they get that all-important result. Notably, a win is vitally important, and obviously that bonus point, and then hopefully the rest takes care of itself. They are the last team to play for the day, and so I think that's what the pressure that they might have on themselves, knowing that they have to claim their bonus point victory today.
Justin, much has been said about the closing gap between traditional powerhouse nations and those who have struggled in times gone by. Is that what we saw in South Africa's loss to Italy?
Yeah, I think so. We have to look back. It is 2023 now, but we did have a small matter of a COVID-19 pandemic where these boys would not have played rugby. We were told that they missed out in the matric year, not being able to play, and that's an all-important year for them, that foundation phase, building up to that next step in their careers. And I think that in itself was a big miss. But I know SA Rugby have acknowledged that. They know that they need to work a bit harder at the junior levels in order to make the transition into Currie Cup rugby, URC rugby, Champions Cup, Challenge Cup rugby, and ultimately the Springboks. And the director of rugby, Rassie Erasmus, had a comment to say while they were out in camp preparing for the Springboks versus Australia match in the Rugby Championship, and this is what he had to say.
What happened with COVID is a lot of continuity, getting your hands on youngsters, getting them into academies, getting them to under 17 camps, getting them to under 18 Craven weeks. I think there was always a time where we're going to feel a little bit of a dip in that pipeline just because of that vacuum that was there. But then again, the other countries, I don't know if they were, well, Italy was a country who went severely through COVID. I remember one of their players was actually an ambulance driver at one stage to help out there. So that can't be an excuse, but no, I think you're right. It's becoming so competitive and professional at all the tiers.
Well, back to tonight's game, Justin. The return at number 10 for Jean Smits should be a good thing. How important is his kicking game tonight?
Look, he had a fantastic opening fixture against Georgia where he claimed the man of the match in that particular game that they had played, the opening fixture. So his return to the number 10 jersey is going to be vitally important. Points on the board is always going to be what the Junior Boks will be looking for. So should they find themselves in a position where there's penalties on offer and within kicking distance and striking distance, that's surely where he will come to the party. So I think hopefully he plays a pivotal role. They often call that sort of slot, a pivot. So with that being said, the hope is that he stands up and really commands his charges, from moving from the forwards to the back line and gets them going so that they can cross the line, can score tries, and when those opportunities arise where there's penalties for them to head to posts, that he can slot them and get an all-important victory.
All right, Justin, the Athlone Stadium is known as a football venue. What do you expect in terms of its playing surface?
Yeah, absolutely, Arthur. Rich in football history. I know Cape Town Spurs returning to the top flight of South African football at the moment. Recently spoke to Sean Bartlett, just in passing, seeing him, and he definitely is looking forward to Friday nights here at Athlone Stadium. But moving back to your question, the playing surface, I did get a bit of anointing when it came down to the Currie Cup fixtures, where the Western Province team actually did play a few matches here. So the hope is that it does hold up. The other issue is that there were 2 matches that would have been played before the junior Boks get onto the field, and that potentially might not play in their favour. But the word is that it should be all good for this team to be able to play the type of rugby that they've worked really hard on, as I said earlier, from April this year already, so that they can execute, stick to their plans, and Coach Paul de Villiers yesterday talking about the fact that we need to just stick to what it is that we believe in, don't do too much talking, and actually just perform on the field.
Fantastic. Justin Ford out at Athlone Stadium ahead of the Junior Springboks facing Argentina. They need to score 4 tries, a bonus point to advance to the semi-finals and hopefully emulate the 2012 group that lifted up the Rugby Championship title that had the likes of Andre Pollard, Stephen Kitsoff, Marvin Ari and Peter Steph du Toit. All right, that's all the sports news I have for you at the moment. That was, of course, Justin Ford out in Cape Town.